Hello, hello everyone, Mr. Quality Guy here, and today we are going to take a look at some scenes from movies and TV that have manufacturing in them, and we're going to react to them and basically go, what's good, what's bad. So let's get right to it. So, number one, Tommy Boy.
I have something for you. By this afternoon.
Iron hats, gentlemen. Hit in the head without wearing one of these, they scoop your brains out with a goddamn soup plate.
Hard hats are nice, but where's the safety glasses? That's, hard hat's gonna do great for your head, but nothing for your eyes.
Hey, they're live, over it.
Yeah, nope. At least they're walking in a walk line. Here we got a dedicated walk line. However, we have not made contact with the high-low driver here. You're supposed to acknowledge that you're going to be walking across to the high-low driver, and the high-low driver is supposed to acknowledge you.
What happened? Nothing. Daddy, how's that new son-in-law? He's a real pain in the butt.
No safety glasses yet again.
Hey, Tommy, you're back. The way you're going, that deep plus. Hey, thanks, Danny. Looking good, man.
No gloves. So, you're definitely going to want to wear gloves because if those are steel, which they more than likely are, the oil from your hands can cause corrosion, and that is not good. On top of that, we don't know what chemicals are in there. They could be caustic. They could have detrimental health effects, which is why we always want to, especially when we're dealing with any sort of liquids, we want to be wearing gloves and also safety glasses because that liquid can splash into your eyes and you can go blind.
Hey, Tommy. Hey, man, how you doing? Hey, how are you? Good to see you. How you doing? Hey, Sammy. Hey, Tommy. Welcome home, buddy. Hang in there, Ron. We're almost there. Lou, I got some papers I want you to sign in the office. Hey, Louis. Hey, Tommy. What are you doing on the floor?
Hey, Lewis is wearing safety glasses and he's wearing gloves. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I was going crazy on the loading dock. Your dad moved me in here. Hey, what is this thing? The bumper. I take off the leaf smoothing and give him a quick bath. Cool. Can I try one? Help yourself.
Yeah, no. That wouldn't happen. But sometimes, in slow periods, guys will play, you'll see high-low drivers, if they have down period, they'll play a game called quarters where the goal is to pick a quarter up off the ground with the high-low forks and other sorts of stuff. So yeah,
Yes, sir. See ya. There she is, Ron. My dream. This, my friend, is our new brake pad division and the future of Callahan Auto. Going to short this is.
Okay, that is a very beautiful room. That is an extremely beautiful room. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to look that way forever. It will probably not look great very quickly, but that is an extremely beautiful room.
Awesome.
You say these brake pads are going to revolutionize the industry?
Composed of high-grade steel and graphite. And a goddamn roll.
So steel and graphite and brake pads. So steel, yeah. You'll find carbon in brake pads. You'll find ceramic in brake pads, as well as other natural elements. But graphite is one I'm not sure of. Graphite is a lubricant. It's a dry lubricant. And the idea of brakes is to stop with friction. So if you put something in there that reduces friction, not so sure on that one.
Where's the brake pads? That's what they are. I get tears in my eyes just thinking about it. Whoa! You coming off the fence? How you turn these machines on. Look out. I've got cat-like speed and reflexes.
Yeah, so if you need fresh capital for work sources and you've already bought all the machines, you kind of screwed up. You should have already had that taken care of. That should have been included in your quoting for those machines to get those machines. Now, the nice thing is when you purchase large capital, you can then deduct that off your taxes for the next 5 years, but only at 20% for the next 5 years, totaling 100. So you'll take 20% of that worth and basically deduct that off your taxes for the next 5 years. That's why a lot of companies every 5 years will purchase equipment, so they're constantly getting those tax deductions. Especially as equipment tends to, if they get like into the sweet spot. So let's say they buy a mill, boop, 5 years later, now we're at the point where this mill is going to start needing repair work and stuff like that, but it's still worth a decent amount of money. We can sell that, purchase a brand new machine, and then keep that cycle going. And we're, basically not losing any money. We're gaining money. We're also, on top of that, getting a brand new machine that's in reality, 5 years of development later should be faster, should be more efficient, and it should be easier to maintain, as well as, on top of that, you have a warranty on it again. 5 years, your warranty may be out. Now, your replacement parts, if it's a issue, are going to be either free or at a very reduced cost. So that is something to think about, and that's, one of those things that, probably should have had that, the labor, thought of.
23 years, 5% all together.
Why say no when it feels so good to say
Yeah, there's always that one guy in the factory. There's always that one guy who is just like that. And you sit there and you wonder, does this person actually eat crayons or not? And I'm not joking that there's always one or two like that. But sometimes you'll find people that are just beyond brilliant. Some of the smartest people work in factories sometimes.
Checking the specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
Okay, Tom, let's go.
At least he admits it, and, admitting it's half the battle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I Love Lucy.
Into the next room where the girls will paint. Now your job is to take each piece of candy and wrap it in one of these papers, and then put it back on the bill. You understand?
Okay, so the hair is covered. They're in a food production facility, which is great. In food production, you do need to have your hair covered, which would be a hairnet or like a hat like that. And then what's interesting even for men, you would have, if you have facial hair, you'd have to wear a beard net, and that happens too. So as for gloves may not have actually been necessary at this time period. It is the early 50s, so may not have been a requirement.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Let her roll! Let her roll!
Well, come on, man. Give him the goods.
Somebody's asleep at the switch.
What are you doing up here? I thought you were downstairs locked and chalked. Oh, they kicked me out of there fast. Why? I kept pinching them to see what kind they were. It's the fourth department I've been in.
I didn't do so well either. All right, girls. Now this is your last chance. If one piece of candy gets past you and into the packing room unwrapped, you're fired.
Yes, ma'am.
Let her roll!
Okay, so these conveyor systems are actually still in use today. We still use them. However, generally they're in a loop. They run in a loop, and they have some sort of error proofing on them now to where it can tell, okay, if it's not wrapped, it will go in a loop, so that way it comes back through. Now, you can see this on for example, on like how it's made or something like that, where you can see these how these processes work. But in this case, they don't have that. Of course, this is for comedic effect. This is supposed to be really funny. So we'll get from there. Oh, you better speed up. Oh, yeah, you say that now. Oh, here we go. Here you go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, yeah, this is why we have closed loop systems now, is so they'll have air proofing, so that way you don't have stuff going past you, and you can basically make sure everything's wrapped. There's still a lot of stuff that's done by hand. You probably won't see it in the United States so much because a lot of it, or mainly in North America in general, but in some of your third world countries where they do manufacturing, or even like China, they will tend to do that by hand still because the labor cost is so low compared to the machine cost. The machine cost for them is relatively expensive, while labor, we can get labor very, very cheaply. Yep, just hide the evidence. That's the best you can do, is just hide the evidence at this point.
You're doing splendidly. Speed it up!
Yeah, no way. No human can do that. I mean, maybe if you had like a line of like 10, maybe, but 2 people, no. Even 10, I would think, is like enjoy the diabetes, because that's what would end up happening. Is you'd have to eat so many, you'd just end up with straight diabetes. Gung ho!
That door. You're gonna miss a great comeback. Over here. Over here, Jack.
This will never be like a Japanese makes me. Jack.
Yeah, that does happen. So when there is a way of manufacturing that's done very differently. So between North America, Germany, and Japanese manufacturing techniques are very, very different. The way they go about them is very, very differently. In my experience, the German manufacturing tends to be very low cost, but extremely, they're very, very precise in what they do. They're very, very straightforward with what they do. They basically come up with low-cost options to do everything very, very efficiently. While the Japanese, they don't mind spending the money. They tend to not mind spending the money on making sure that they get very, very high cost. Now that was brought about by Joseph Joran when he went over to Japan post World War II, and I believe I did a video basically on Joseph Joran that explained his involvement with Japanese manufacturing, the way how they became the powerhouse in automotive manufacturing that they are today because of that. So the styles are very, very differently. And the American style is kind of a blend of the two between the German and the Japanese style, because basically that everyone takes parts from each other. Now that gap is closing a little bit more. You'll see that a lot of companies, especially Austrian companies, are using concepts from Japanese manufacturing, such as Kaizen and other things, and you'll see a lot of Japanese plants, they'll start to go around. But when you have what happens when you have foreign companies buy American companies come over, there's going to be a culture shock. It would be the same as if an American company bought a company over in Japan and sent people over. It's like, well, you're going to have issues. So yeah, this will never be a true Japanese factory. Half your workforce is Japanese, half your workforce is American. They're not going to, culturally, you're not going to be right.
Yeah. You're right. Because stand for something. These cars stand for something pretty great. I'm proud of those cars. I'm taking them.
And that right there is an example of a great leader. The fact that he is basically, you know, basically letting this executive know is like, well, hey, you know what? Screw you. I'm proud of my guys doing this work. We did this all together. This means so much more than anything else that's came before, and that's and that is actually important in a leader. So there's bosses and then there's leaders. Leaders are ones that are there to bring up their employees. They're ones that want to develop, they want to get the best out of their employees, but they're willing to do the work as well. Bosses just sit there and tell you what to do, and they don't care if you may have an idea on how to do it better or more efficient and all that. There's a reason why leaders succeed and bosses fail.
Gentlemen, I'm going home in my new car.
Hey, it started. Ah! Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's bad news bears right there. That is...
Tell you, I thought I handled great.
Alright guys, so that was some scenes from movies and TVs. If you have any more suggestions on manufacturing scenes that you've seen in movies or television that you kind of want to maybe know a little bit more about, or wondering if they're legit or not legit, hit me up and we'll see what we can go. So thank you guys for watching, and see you again next time.